Ready? Hey, Hill Spring kids. Good afternoon and welcome to another Hill Spring Kids Midweek Connection. So glad that you guys could join us this afternoon. My name is Dan.
My name is Ashton.
Yeah, we're really glad and excited that you guys could be with us for another craft and discussion this week. And as always, as you're joining us, please say hello in the comments to let us know you're there, and we'll try to give you a shout out. I see that Avery and Samantha are with us. So, hey, Avery and Samantha, glad you guys could join us this afternoon. That's awesome. That's really awesome, isn't it? It's fun, right? So what we're going to do is, as you're joining in, first thing is let us know that you're with us. So say hello to us in the comments so we can say hello back to you. And the other thing is we have our question of the week. So as you're logging in, we want you to let us know your answer to this question, right? And so the question of the week this week is, what is your favorite ocean animal? What is your favorite ocean animal? So I won't give you any ideas yet. We'll see if someone comes and says something here. We have some comments. Hey, Robin, Lincoln, and June, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're glad that you guys are with us as well. And anyone else who's joining us, please say hello in the comments, and we'd love to be able to say hello back to you. And as you're logging in, what is your favorite ocean animal? Leave it in the comments. We have Jean and Monique as well. Good to see you guys this afternoon. Well, I can't see you, but glad that you're with us. So Ashton, what's your favorite ocean animal?
Some type of fish.
Some type of fish. So what type of fish?
Cod.
A cod? To eat? You like it to eat? Okay. Let us know what other kind of fish that you like out there. Maybe it could be a creature like an octopus, a whale, whatever it might be. I see some comments that come in. Oh, hey, Kaylin and Kira, thanks for joining us this afternoon. And their favorite ocean animal is a dolphin. Dolphins are really awesome, aren't they? They're so playful and they can do tricks and all sorts of really cool things. And so Leora's here. Hey, Leora, thanks for joining us this afternoon. We're glad that you're with us. And June says a dolphin. Robin says a whale. Two more great animals. I don't want to miss any here. Avery's favorite animal is a dolphin and Samantha's is a goldfish. Excellent animals. Those are all great animals. There's some pretty crazy animals out there. Well, let's see. Monique's favorite animal is a starfish. Starfish are so cool. And Jean is a swordfish. Jean's favorite animal is a swordfish. All really awesome animals. And Leora says mermaids. Yes. So another great answer there. There's some really crazy animals out there. Did you know that there's a fish in Hawaii called the Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua'a, right? Is that right? Yeah. Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua'a, I think it is. Yeah. So that is one crazy animal, but it's a colorful fish. It's part of a trigger clownfish family, I think, right? Triggerfish family. I don't know. We'll have to ask Owen. He's the animal guy. But so let us know as you're logging in that you're with us, what your favorite ocean animal is. There's all sorts of animals, though. Octopus are pretty cool, right? What else can you think of? Crabs, yeah. Eels, those are I find those kind of creepy if I'm swimming in the ocean and I see an eel go by, but you know what? They're kind of cool too. It's kind of neat that there's electric eels. Animals that create their own electricity is absolutely amazing. Any other comments here? All right, that's okay. We're going to keep moving forward. So as you're logging in, say hello to us. Let us know what your favorite ocean animal is. And did you know what the largest fish in the world is? Now, don't answer that yet. But if you know the answer to that, put it in the comments. What do you think the largest fish in the ocean is? And that's a bit of a trick question, but the largest fish in the ocean. And this fish is one big fish, right? So I'll give you some hints. First of all, this fish is about the size or the weight. It's the weight of 4 school buses, and it weighs about 42,000 pounds. The largest fish in the ocean weighs about the weight of 4 school buses, not the size of 4 school buses. It's probably about as wide as your house, or maybe even a little bit wider than your house. And it's a fish, and it weighs 42,000 pounds, up to 42,000 pounds. If you know the answers to that, leave it in the comments, and we'll see if anyone can guess what the largest fish in the world is. What are some other large fishes? Do you know? Don't name the one that we're asking people for, but
there's something called a sawfish.
A sawfish it's big and it's pretty crazy because it has that long nose with the teeth all out the side, right? What else? Some other a grouper. A grouper is a very large fish. Groupers can be very large. Okay. Hey, Cheyenne and Rhea. Good to have you guys with us this afternoon. Welcome. Glad you guys could join us for our Hill Spring Kids Midweek Connection. We're asking what the largest fish in the world is. Kaylin guesses a whale. That is a great guess. Very great guess. But the whale is a mammal. And we're actually looking for the largest fish in the world. So a mammal is like a dolphin. All the whales, all the different types of whales are in the mammal family. We're looking for a fish, okay? So we have a couple more, Ram and June. Our whale. Whales are very large as well, but we're looking for the largest fish in the ocean. All right, we'll give you one more second, and then I'm gonna let you know, and you can maybe look it up with your mom and dad later, and you can see how big this fish is. Now this fish, here's another hint, this fish actually has the word whale in its name, but it's not a whale, right? All right. So this is a fish that has whale in its name, but it's not a whale. It has dots on it, right? It's like a bluish gray color with lots of white dots all over it, usually when you see it. Okay. All right. So it is a type of shark. We see that someone said shark, and it is a type of shark because sharks are fish. And this is, well, we've kind of put the name together then because someone guessed that it was a type of shark. And I gave you the hint that it has the word whale in its name. And so the largest fish in the ocean is called the whale shark. The whale shark. And so, yeah. And so the whale shark grows up to 42,000 pounds in weight. And it's about 32 feet. It can grow up to 32 feet long. So yes, June, that is the right answer. A whale shark. And I see that Ava's with us as well this afternoon. Hey, Ava, so glad you could join us for our Hill Spring Kids Midweek Connection. And she says she likes the clownfish, and that's a really cool fish too because of the colors. And I see a couple of guesses now. Yes, the whale shark is the largest fish in the world. So great job, guys. We're gonna do a craft together now. And so let's see what we can do. We're gonna switch over to our other view. Well, we're not gonna do that right away. What we're gonna do is you need to go grab a piece of paper. You probably already have one ready because all of our crafts we try to keep pretty simple because you don't have the option to get supplies that easily these days. So grab a piece of paper, some pencil crayons, some markers, crayons, pens, pencils, whatever you want. Even if you have some stickers around or something like that, you can use those. You can always use stickers to decorate things. And you're gonna grab a sheet of paper each. So Ashton, if you could pass me a sheet of paper, and we're gonna get started on our craft for today. So, all right, so grab it. Once you have your piece of paper ready, you're all set because we're gonna start by doing a pretty simple fold on our piece of paper. And so take your piece of paper like this, all right, nice and upright like that, okay? And then you're gonna take the bottom edge of your paper and you're going to fold it up to the top edge. So the easiest way is to line each corner up. One here, one there. And once your corners are lined up, hold it down and then press the bottom of that back down. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. Just fold your paper in half like that. Okay, and then there's only one more fold. So we're not gonna do anything really difficult with folding today, right? So we're not doing origami, but I mean, I guess anytime you're folding paper, technically it could be considered origami if you're making something out of it. But we're going to take the top edge now and we're gonna fold it back down to the bottom edge, like this, and then fold it across, okay? All right, so the first step was to take your piece of paper, fold your bottom edge to the top so that you fold your paper in half, and then just take one side, only one side of your paper, and then fold it back down like that so that you have something like this. All right, Ashton, you got it going there? Excellent, great job, pal. And next, we're actually gonna do some drawing. So we're gonna color it in later at the end, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna outline it first. So we always wanna make it nice and colorful at the end, but we're gonna create what we're gonna do first. So you can grab a pencil, maybe a black pencil crayon is what I have. A pencil works great because you can erase it if you make a mistake. And I make lots of mistakes when I draw, but you don't, nothing to worry about. You just either erase it and start again, or you just, you just fix it and keep moving on. There's no worries. This doesn't have to be perfect when we're doing this. And so, I don't know if you're gonna guess, maybe we'll try to draw, we'll call it a whale shark today, right? But we're gonna draw a really, really big fish, okay? And so the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna start over here, come in from the outside edge a little bit, and we're gonna go up like this, kind of a bit, like a half of a circle, and come down, but don't go all the way down. So don't come all the way down to this paper here. You're gonna come down, and just before you get to the paper, you're gonna go whoop, and you're gonna go right back up again, okay? Like that. And then you're gonna come back down to the fold, and then stop when you're at the fold, okay? Right? So right now, it kind of looks like a whale or a big fish that's half in the water and half out. Now that's not what we're gonna do, so don't go ahead and start drawing waves or color the bottom in blue, but that's what we're gonna do. Great job, Ashton, that looks very good, all right? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start over here, and we're going to draw a little bit of a lip, and then come down kind of the same way, and come down like this, come along here, but before you get all the way, don't draw it all the way the same, you're gonna stop, right? You're gonna stop there. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw a fin, or a fin. If it's a fish, it's a fin. And so you're gonna take it, it's kind of a leaf shape. You're gonna draw one little arch like this, and then another arch down like that. And it doesn't have to be the same as mine. All fins and flippers and all those things are different. See, Ashton's is a little bit more forward, mine's more back, and that's okay because we're all drawing pictures that are unique, because we all draw differently, right? Once you get your fin done like that, then you're gonna continue on. So you're gonna pretend that this line, because it actually does, this line goes behind the fin. So you're gonna stop here, and then you're gonna start wherever you think that line would continue on once it gets past the fin. And then you're gonna draw up again, almost to the line, leave a little bit of space. And just before you get to the line, you're gonna dip right back down like this, okay? And I'm gonna draw just kind of a silly different shape here. And you can make it any shape you want, and then come up, and then like that, okay? But again, you can draw any shape. You can draw the exact same shape as you do on the top. That's what Ashton's gonna do, something like that, where they're very similar on the top and bottom, all right? And so when you're done, you're gonna have the outline of a big fish or a whale. It doesn't really matter what we call it. It's a fish or a whale, okay? And then you can put it down. Ashton, show everyone what you've got there so far as well. Okay, so like that. All right, so start at the top, go down almost the line, and then dip up, come back down, start here, come around the bottom, stop. Don't forget to put your fin in, and then continue on the other side of the fin, go up, then down, and back up to the line. All right, now, what is something else that fish have that we need to put on that picture? Right, well, Ashton, what do you think?
An eye?
An eye, yeah. I mean, this fish needs to see where he's swimming, so we need to put an eye on him, okay? Or her, whether your fish is a boy or a girl. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw an eye. You can draw your eye however you want. This is how I'm gonna draw my eye, though. I'm gonna go a big circle like this for the outside of the eye. And then I'm gonna draw another circle looking forward on the inside like this, right? And if you want, you can even draw another little circle inside, and don't color that one in, but then color everything else around except for that little circle, and that makes it look like his eye has a little bit of a glisten in it. Okay, so it's like that. Yeah, exactly. And then color that one in like that, exactly. All right, so once you got that colored in, so a bigger circle, then a smaller circle near the front of the circle, so it looks like his eye is looking forward, that he's looking where he's swimming. If you want to get really detailed, you don't have to do this, but you can also put in even a little tiny circle that you don't color in inside the eye, and that makes it look like there's a little bit of a glisten, because all of our eyes has a little bit of a glint or a glisten in them where the light hits off of our eyes. So you can get as complicated or as simple as you want. And then let's, you know what, it's not really an eyebrow, but let's put a little bit of a line over the eye. It just makes him look a little bit happier or her a little bit happier, okay? All right, so hopefully you have an outline of a whale or a fish now with an eye and a little happy eyebrow there with a fin. And if you don't already, that's okay. You can always go back. You can always rewatch the video after we're done here. It'll stay on Facebook and your parents can replay it for you. Okay. And so now what we're gonna do is this. Now this is where it starts to get a bit fun. So now we're gonna take the bottom edge of our paper and we're gonna open it up like this. Whoa, that is huge. That's even bigger than I thought it would be, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're going to draw, actually before we do that, I want you to take your pencil or your pen and take this and draw a line on the top piece of paper that comes back even past the eye a little bit, okay? To about there. So draw a line on the top piece of paper. You can use the bottom paper as a line and you're gonna go up and you can even give them a little bit of a happy smile there at the very end. Just a little tiny bit. All right. And then open your paper up like this. And this is gonna look pretty funny. And then you're gonna take your pencil here and you're gonna do the same thing for the bottom lip and you're gonna follow the crease on the paper back about the same spot. Now you can go back up and just check it so you don't go too far past because I already went a little bit past and that's okay, right? Like that. Okay? And then what you're gonna do is you're going to connect a couple of points on the paper. So you're gonna start up here at this one and you're gonna draw a line to connect it down to this one. And you can draw straight down, you can come in a little bit if you want, and then come back out, and then just connect it so it comes in like that. And I know you might be thinking, what in the world are we doing? But that's what we're gonna do. Okay, and then we're gonna connect two other spots in this, and we're going to draw a line from here down, all the way down to here. All the way down like that. All right. So now you have a fish that looks like he has his mouth open really wide, really wide. And next thing we're gonna do, and hopefully you're still with us, next thing we're gonna do is we're going to draw some teeth or some baleen. If it's a whale, it would be baleen. Well, no, some whales have teeth, right? If it was an orca or something like that. But we're gonna draw some teeth and we're gonna draw them very simply. We're just gonna go up, all the way across, and then we're just gonna divide it up like this. All right, so draw up, all the way across, draw some lines to the bottom, and then we're gonna do the same thing on the top, but we're gonna make them a little bit bigger, just to make them look really fun, okay? Good job, Ashton, that looks great. And so we're gonna come down 2 or 3 times as far on the top, like this. And then we're gonna go all the way across. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're just going to divide those up. And if you want, well, you can try to follow the same size, it doesn't matter. Right, like that, all right? So, now you can imagine what's gonna happen. Good job, Ashton. All right, so now you can imagine what's going to happen as we take our paper and we fold it again. We're gonna be able to open and close this giant fish or whale's mouth. So we go, rope. Ooh. All right, let's try yours, Ashton. You can do some crazy sound effects too. All right. So hopefully at this point now you have the outline of a whale. Ashton, you can hold yours up there too. You pull down the paper and he opens his big mouth. And then when you fold it back up, he closes his big mouth up again, right? And so he's a friendly whale. Now we're gonna do one more thing and then we're gonna get to the coloring, right? Then we're gonna get to color it in. So start thinking about what kind of colors you wanna use. Maybe you're gonna be thinking about putting some waves behind them and some bright blue for the water, maybe blue sky, some sun. So start thinking about that, but we're gonna draw one more thing. And what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna draw, and this is gonna sound funny, but you're gonna probably guess what story we're gonna talk about while we're coloring in today. We're gonna actually draw a man inside his mouth, right? So that's kind of funny. So we're gonna draw a man inside his mouth. And so you can draw him any way you want. You can put a stick man in there if you want. You can make him sitting in there. So I'm gonna go up over his shoulders and come down kind of like this. And I'm gonna make it look like he's kind of resting on his knees. So we're gonna put his knees down like this. And I know it doesn't look like a man yet. We'll put like his fingers here, like he's kind of crossing his arms and sitting there. All right. And then I'm gonna draw kind of a thing down here to go up. And I'm gonna draw. So you can draw a man any way you want, or a girl. You can pretend that it's you sitting inside there. So my guy has a big bushy beard. All right. Okay, so I have a guy sitting there kind of like that. You can draw him however you want. It doesn't have to be the same as mine, and you can draw any kind of person in there, but try to put a person sitting inside the whale's mouth or the fish's mouth. Good job, Ashton, looks great. Again, if you draw stick people, you can put a stick man in there. It doesn't matter. Whatever kind of man you want to put in there. All right. And then once you have a man in there, then, or a woman, you know, or you can put a person in there. The story we're going to talk about has a man in the whale's mouth or the fish's mouth, right, Ashton? So that's why I drew a man in there, but you can put whoever you want in there. We're going to talk about a story as we color it in. That looks great, Ashton. Really good job. Okay, so let's pick some colors and start coloring our pictures in, should we? I think so. And now I want to pick what kind of color I want my whale to be. My fish. What is he? Is he a whale or a fish? Maybe I'll try to use some marker today. Hopefully this marker is going to last till the end. So there's a story that you've probably guessed. Does anyone guess what story we're going to talk about today as we're coloring our characters in? You can leave it in the comments below. We're going to talk about the story of Jonah. And the story of Jonah began when God had a special job for a man named Jonah. He had a special job for him to do. I wonder if your parents ever ask you to do something. They ever ask you to listen to them and do something? Well, God himself, yes, June and Robin, you guys are right. We are talking about Jonah. So God had a special job for Jonah to do, just like sometimes your parents ask you to do something for them. God asked Jonah to go to a place called Nineveh. And the reason why God asked Jonah to go to the town of Nineveh is because the people in Nineveh, they weren't listening to God. And so they didn't have a relationship with God, and God loved them. God wanted to have a relationship with them. So God sent Jonah, or asked Jonah, to go to Nineveh with a special message from himself, from God. And God wanted Jonah to say to Nineveh to stop disobeying him and to turn to him, otherwise their city was going to be destroyed. God didn't want that to happen, so he wanted Jonah to go and send a message to the people of Nineveh to tell them to turn to him so that their city wouldn't be destroyed, because that wouldn't be very good at all. So do you know what Jonah did? If you've heard the story, you probably know what Jonah did. Jonah didn't go to Nineveh. In fact, Jonah got on a ship with some other sailors, and he went in the opposite direction. He went the opposite. He did the very opposite thing that God had asked him to do. And again, I'm sure there have been times where your parents ask you not to do something, but you go, and maybe you've done the opposite thing. We all disobey at times. And in this time, Jonah really disobeyed God. He went and he sailed on a ship in the opposite direction from Nineveh. The very opposite direction. So God sent a huge storm while Jonah was out in the water. Such a big storm that the boat that Jonah was riding in started getting tossed all around. And the sailors on the boat were getting very, very scared because they were worried that the boat was going to sink because the storm was so bad. And so they got Jonah and they said, "What's going on here?" And they asked for Jonah to help them, and Jonah didn't say anything. And they started throwing everything overboard, and the ship was still going to sink. The storm wasn't calming down at all. And then finally Jonah said, "You know what? I've disobeyed the one who controls the ocean, the wind, and the waves, and who created the entire world. I've disobeyed him. He asked me to do something, and I did the opposite." And do you think that Jonah in that moment thought, maybe I should listen to God? Because things were really bad. Well, he didn't. He didn't think, I'm going to listen to God now. I'm not going to turn back to God. Instead, he told the sailors on the boat to throw him overboard. To throw him overboard so that the ocean would calm down. Well, the sailors didn't like that idea, did they, Ashton? They were like, no, we'll paddle harder. And so they tried to paddle harder, but obviously they couldn't out-paddle what God had done. And so finally, the sailors, they picked up Jonah just as he asked, and they threw him into the ocean. They threw him into the ocean. And when they did that, the storm calmed down. Now, do you think the story ends there? No, that would be kind of a sad story, wouldn't it, if that's where the story ended? But thankfully, that's not where the story ended. That's not where the story ended, because God actually, he really loved Jonah. And so he didn't just let him, fall into the water and that's the end of the story. God sent a big fish that swallowed Jonah up, and he saved Jonah. And so Jonah was still alive for 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish. And I'm going to color Jonah his clothes in now. And when Jonah was in the belly of the fish, I think he had some time to think. Do you ever have time to think when you're in a timeout? Maybe you're in a timeout and you're like, okay, maybe what I did wasn't a good thing to do. Well, that's what happened with Jonah. And so while he was in the belly of the fish, Jonah realized that he should listen to what God had asked him to do. And so he turned back to God. He turned back to God. And you know what happened? He asked God to forgive him, and God did. And God made the fish spit Jonah back out onto the beach. And then Jonah listened to God, and he went and he did what God asked him to do. He told the people of Nineveh that they needed to turn to God and be forgiven so that their city wouldn't be destroyed. And you know what's awesome about that? Is that when Jonah listened to God and he went and he did what God asked him to, the people of Nineveh, they listened to him as well. And so they actually did turn back to God. They turned to God. And so they were saved because Jonah listened and sent a message of God's love to them. They listened to God, they turned back to him, and they were saved. The whole city was saved, which is awesome. All right, let's just keep drawing a little bit longer here. Let us know how you're making out if you need some time. And again, if you're not done, that's okay. You don't have to finish it all right now. Right, Ashton? Are yours is all colored in? Good job, pal. I'm probably just gonna, let's see what you got there, buddy. Good, that looks awesome. That looks really great. I like your colors. I'm not gonna get my background colored in, but sometimes it's really nice to color in the background as well too, and we can do that maybe later. But there's something that's really cool. I'm gonna finish there. All right, so you can keep coloring, that's no problem at all. But there's something really cool about this story, isn't there? You know, Jonah, when God asked him to do something, he went as far as he could the opposite way. He disobeyed God. He tried to run away from God. He was very disobedient. And even though he ended up in the ocean, God loved him. God didn't let him drown. He saved him through a fish. And then Jonah listened to God. And then when Jonah listened to God and took the message that God sent to Nineveh, Nineveh listened to God as well. And they turned back to God. And so in all those situations, none of them were punished. In fact, God forgave all of them and he loved them, because this is what we learn in this story is this, that when we turn back to God, he forgives us and shows us how to live, right? When we turn back to God, he forgives us and he shows us how to live. You know what that's called? Well, it's forgiveness, we know that, but it's called mercy. God is a merciful God, and so God is a God who loves all people. The people in Nineveh, even though they were disobedient, he loved Jonah, even though Jonah was disobedient. And so God sent salvation to Jonah in the form of a whale, and Jonah took it, and Jonah turned back to God, and God forgave Jonah. And then Jonah took that message to Nineveh, right? And the people of Nineveh also turned back to God. And when they did, as bad as they were, they did really, really terrible things. Because they turned to God and asked God to lead them and to forgive them, God did forgive them. And so the really awesome part about that is, sometimes we don't do what our parents asked us to, which is also disobeying God, because God wants us to listen to our parents, but we often don't do what God wants us to do. Sometimes we say things to people that aren't very nice. Sometimes we are mean to people. Sometimes we don't do what our parents ask us to when they ask us to do it. And we should try to do those things, but we don't always. And when we don't do those things, we need to know that we don't need to run further from God. We need to remember that God is a merciful God. God loves us. And when we ask him for forgiveness and turn to him, God forgives us, and he wants to lead our lives so that he can give us a good life, because he's a loving father who wants to show us how to live in good ways. So that's the lesson for today. And the way that you do that, how do you turn back to God? Really, all you have to say is, God, I'm sorry that I didn't listen to you, right? And so I ask that you would forgive me. You can talk to God just like you talk to a human being and say, God, I ask that you would forgive me and show me what is right. Show me how to live and to do what is right. And God not only forgives us, he shows us through Jesus how to live our lives in a way that is right. And that way always makes our lives better when we live the way that God asks us to, because God wants to lead us in ways that make our lives great. So we're really glad that you guys joined us this morning, or this afternoon. It's afternoon. I normally talk in the morning. But what we want you to do, we're going to pray with you before we go. Please take your pictures and send them in. Take a picture with your picture held up nice and high, and have your mom or dad send that in to us, because we're going to show them every Sunday morning. We're going to show the pictures that you guys do to the rest of the church on Sunday morning, to your moms and your dads and all the other people in the church. So send those in to connect@hillspringchurch.org. But we're going to pray before we go, and we're actually going to say this. We're going to ask God to forgive us for all the things maybe that we've done where we have run away from him or not listened to what he asks us to do. And then we're going to ask him to lead our lives. Right, Ashton? Absolutely. Let's pray. God, we thank you so much that we can gather together as Hillspring kids, and for any other kids who are watching, they are every bit as special to you. And we thank you for teaching us through these stories about your love. And we ask that you would forgive us for all of the times that we don't listen to you today. And we turn to you, and we ask that you would lead us, show us how to live as we learn and we get to know Jesus the way you've shown us to live. And we ask you to lead us today as we go. Everyone said, amen. Well, Well, thanks so much for joining us today on this Wednesday afternoon. We hope you'll join us again next Wednesday for another Hillspring Kids Midweek Connection. We love this opportunity to gather with you guys, and we really do appreciate being able to join together for the comments, for your participation. Don't forget to send your pictures in, and we'll see you next week, right, Ashton? All right, see you guys. Have a great afternoon, Hillspring Kids.